Hi, I'm Stephanie Laska. I lost 140 pounds and created Dirty Lazy Keto. Thanks for joining me here on the YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe and enjoy the show. Well, you might be asking yourself, can I do the keto diet if I had weight loss surgery? Or you might ask yourself, is the keto diet safe for diabetics? Well, today's success story from Dirty Lazy Keto is going to help us answer some of these questions and give us a little bit more information. So welcome to the show, all the way from Canada, Carol Daigle.
Hi.
Don't
Nice
sound so excited over there.
Well, I'm trying to pace myself.
Slow it down. Slow it down.
Yeah.
Well, Kara, I know you're an extrovert like me, so you're not going to have any trouble warming up to some of our questions today.
Absolutely.
But hopefully all the listeners and watchers out there can show some support for Carol. I know it's her first time doing this, so please give her a thumbs up and give her a little encouragement in the comments. There's nothing wrong with that. But Carol, let's start off with some easy stuff. Tell us your stats, like your age, your height, your starting weight, your current weight.
All right. Well, I'm going to be 51 in October. My starting weight, interestingly enough, could not be recorded because we didn't have a scale that went up that high. So my home scale went up to 350, and it was one of those that goes in a circle. The arrow kept going. When I did go for my weight loss surgery in 2006, I think it was, it's a long time ago now, they clocked me at just under 400 at that time. I had lost a little bit of weight, but I'm pretty sure I was in the 420s. So really high up there for somebody who's 5'5". That's a lot of weight. I used to say I was like the Simmons wrist bowling ball. I was like just one big round with arms and legs, So yeah, that was my start weight, was at least over 400. I had my weight loss surgery. And as you know, weight loss surgery, the first 6 months is the honeymoon time. So I dropped down to just below 200. I was in Wonderland. I was ecstatic. It was great. And then the following decade and change, I slowly crept back up to about 250, 260, which was still pretty good considering, 400 at 5'5", that's a lot. So I was kind of bummed out, and my mom passed away in late 2018. So, it was like devastating. You lose your mom. Your mom is everything. Mom is home, blah, blah, blah. And I had been seeing, whisperings about the keto diet, and it wasn't super popular at the time, especially in Canada. It's like, oh, that's probably Atkins. And I kept, ignoring it. But after my mom passed away, I said, you know what? I need to get after my health again and try this diet out. I mean, it sounds fantastic. It's like magic, meat and cheese. I could live off meat and cheese. So I gave it a try, and I lost 65 pounds so far. So, and I'm in Wonderland again, and I've been in Wonderland for at least since August, pretty steadily. And that's when I put the post up in the group on Facebook, and I got a ton of support from everybody all over the world. And I was like, oh my, tears, this is overwhelming. And I was like, I felt so blessed and so happy to have all this support from the group. So that's probably more info than you wanted, but blah, 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 that's me.
You're just going right for it. And I appreciate that. And one of the reasons why I asked you to come on the show today is, like you said, you were so brave and so open about sharing about your past and, sharing that you had weight loss surgery back in 2002. But a lot of people worry. They say, well, can you do the keto diet after having weight loss surgery? I mean, what do you think?
I personally, and I've mentioned this in some of the comments, there's a few ladies that ask me like, well, why should I do weight loss surgery and keto? Should I just do keto? And I said, listen, you do you, boo, whatever. But if I had known about keto shortly after my weight loss surgery, I think I would have lost all the weight I wanted way back in 2006 and 7 and whatever, way back then, because the surgeons at the time, they're there to fix the physical part. The dietitians that they have on staff, especially back then, they're better now. Those dietitians handed me the food guide, the traditional eat carbs, and they fed me mashed potatoes in the hospital. Like, like, I'm diabetic. You want to just shove me full of carbs and roll me out the hospital door? I don't think that's right. So I got a lot of support online at the time. Protein shakes were recommended by the weight loss surgery community, and that helps. But when you don't realize how bad carbs can be, especially for a type 2 diabetic. Type 1 is a whole different ball game that I won't even get into because I don't have any expertise in that. But type 2 is diet and exercise is your main thing. And if you're really overweight, medication. So I didn't really use insulin. I was more pills because by the time my diabetes kicked in, I had lost some weight. So, and for a long time after weight loss surgery, I had no medication at all until I started creeping back up again. And my age, I'm 51, those two together, tired pancreas, hello. So I had to start taking pills again, which was part of the reason I decided to try keto. So yeah, I think the knowledge these days is much better. A lot of people are still worried about weight loss surgery, and there are some pros and cons. Like the big con for I have Roux Y, which is the little Y shape. They keep your stomach and they do the little pouch, and they take 2 feet of intestine away right after your stomach. And that's the con of that surgery is the malabsorption. It helps you lose weight, but I have low iron all the time. I have to go for infusions. I have to take multivitamins through the wazoo because I'm not sure how much is being absorbed or just kind of passes through. So there's downsides and you deal with it. But I have absolutely no regrets. I would do it the same way again or do it with keto if I had the knowledge at the time. Because I think keto is the very good way to eat after weight loss surgery. Carbs
Wow.
have no business in my
Carbs.
neighborhood.
No,
Yeah.
not in mine either. Well, I appreciate how you were really honest and sharing how weight loss surgery only got you so far. You were hoping it would be this kind of cure all end all, but it turns out, like you said, you really had to learn some changes about how you ate and getting rid of the mashed potatoes and throwing out maybe that food guide. Because it sounds like you've got other things going on too. I mean, you've shared your type 2 diabetic. So how has like Dirty Lazy Keto helped you with that, like managing your type 2 diabetes?
Well, let's just say my nurse practitioner, when I approached her with the keto diet, I for fun, I was kind of like, I started in January and I talked to her about it in May and I said, what do you think about the keto diet? And she goes, oh, I don't think so. That's probably really bad, blah, blah, blah. I said, interesting. So that 30 pounds I just lost, that's keto. And she went, what? And my A1C dropped and my meds started to get reduced. And she was like very still hesitant, even though I produced the, evidence right out the gate to her. She was very concerned. She's like, okay, I'll let you do it. Let me do it. Yeah, lady, whatever. Let me do it. Yeah. But we'll keep an eye on your stats, your A1C and your cholesterol. I'm really worried about the cholesterol. We don't want that to get too high. And I'm like, okay, sure. So I kept doing it. And after a full year where she dropped me down to, I think I'm just on one medication now, and it's only half a dose of metformin. She's like, you know what? I have to admit to you, Carol, I've started doing keto now, and my daughter does it too. And 90% of my patients have slowly over this past year told me that they're switching to keto. And I said, that's interesting. I said, out of curiosity, how well are the patients overall doing with the diet? And she goes, I've never in my whole career had to reduce medication so much before. There is so much success. It's unprecedented. The community, there's papers coming out, there's studies starting up. The excitement is palpable. I'm like, and this
You're
has been
like,
going on.
can I please
Yeah.
bite my tongue right now? I love it.
But I applauded her, and I was like, I said, I didn't think you needed to lose weight, just visually looking at you, but I'm happy that you're trying it out as well to see how your patients are doing this, and to live it as well. So I was excited to hear that the medical community maybe in the States might be better or different, but in Canada they're slow. Like, they're still fighting over BMI and whether or not BMI is actually a good measurement. And us in the trenches keep going, no, it's bad. Like, you make me feel bad weighing at 195. You're saying I'm still obese, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, the weight loss surgery community is pushing back against BMI, and they're saying that if the individual is healthy, BMI is great for Stats Canada to have statistics. But for real humans, you should view each person as one person and how their health is. And the I'm fat but I'm still fit is starting to become a thing up here. And I'm so excited because it's the last of the visual minorities that people see you on the street, and if you're a little pudgy and you're eating a donut, they're gonna like throw garbage at you, and it's like, hey, whoa, like, this is my cheat day. And you know what? I've lost 300 pounds or whatever, and you're going to give me a hard time because I'm eating my cheat day donut. Well, thanks for ruining my enjoyment. But, it's a visual thing, right? Heart healthy inside. Nobody could see that. So I'm hoping that, keto, weight loss surgery, whatever anybody does, it gets them there. It gets them feeling better, it gets them some confidence. I know several ladies that I was in a group with up here in Canada, supported by the doctors that were doing the weight loss surgery. A good 80% of them were successful. And by successful, I mean they looked normal. They got to a weight where they felt healthy, and they stayed there. But there were some of us, like myself, who wished we had gotten a bit lower. I didn't need to be 125 like BMI dictated. I was hoping for 160, 170, but I never got there. So I felt kind of bummed out. But with keto, I think I might actually make it there, and at this point in the low 190s, I'm like, do I really need to go to 160? I feel great. My sugars are low. My medication is almost all gone. Nobody believes I'm 51. I barely have any gray hairs. I don't know if keto helped with that, but if it did, awesome. Like, there's sky's the limit, right?
It is. I know. Well, I can attest to that. I know our listeners on Apple Podcasts won't be able to see you, but everyone watching on YouTube can certainly see that you have this beautiful smile and a baby face. And I would have guessed you were 32 if I had just met you. So,
oh, love you.
It's the truth. I'm not exaggerating one bit. It's interesting how your version of success, it really gets changed, doesn't it? Like, we started off by talking about, is the keto diet safe for diabetics? And then suddenly it's like, you're off medication, you're feeling youthful, you have energy. The BMI scale kind of goes out the window when your nurse practitioner at the office is telling you 95% of the patients in the office are having such extreme success. It redefines what success looks like.
Yeah. And I think it's opening their eyes to the fact that keto was not necessarily started for this purpose, but there are so many health benefits. It's kind of amazing. And I mean, like anybody who's successful on a diet, I get a little preachy sometimes to friends, and I think they might have gotten sick of me, posting pictures on Facebook of my meals. Like, and we had a little garden this summer and we had tons of tomatoes, and I'm like, you know what? If eating tomatoes is cheating, I don't care. I'm still losing weight, and look at these beautiful red beauties, and I mean, they were like this big, but oh, so good. You appreciate food in a different way. You know, uh, I don't know. It's just awesome all around. There's no drawbacks so far that I can tell. I mean, I do a little bit of intermittent fasting in the morning. I try to make it to noon. If I don't, I have 2 cheese strings and I have another coffee till noon. And on weekends, if I fast, I fast. If I don't, I don't. Dirty lazy keto, I'm more of a just dirty keto. I still track, but I love sweetener in my coffee, so I'll have the skinny syrups. And I quickly discovered that if I'm too restrictive, I'm just going to go mentally off book, right? And if you go off book, then you go a little too far off book. But if there's a little cheat once in a while, for lunch today I had pad thai. I had a cup of leftover pad thai with real noodles. And I may not lose tomorrow, but who cares? I enjoyed my pad thai, and I'm going to have a keto supper, and I will walk my kilometers that I walk, and I will drink my water and drink some Coke Zero, and nobody's going to shoot me.
Nobody.
Nobody, right?
Well, I love how you articulated, you're more of a dirty keto and less of a lazy keto, and that's okay. Have there been any specific dirty, lazy keto resources that helped you or that you've enjoyed using? I know you mentioned the Facebook group, but is that it? Or is there,
See, some favorite recipes are tagged.
is there one or two in particular you want to throw out there as something you use regularly? People always ask me, well, what's your favorite recipe? And I'm like, well, you should ask some of the members, not just me, because I wrote them all.
The jalapeno poppers. This
Definitely.
is a house favorite. My fiance has tried keto, and he's too much of a carb addict, I think, to ever do keto full on. But he enjoys a lot of the recipes that I make, and that's one of the ones he really loves. So we make that maybe every 2 weeks, like clockwork. So, but yeah, I mean, he goes through the book too sometimes, and he'll request stuff, and he goes, "Oh, maybe you can make this, or maybe we should make this."
We meaning you.
See. Yeah. Well, he
like
cooks
that.
too.
Okay.
He does cook as well, and if he's really craving something, he will definitely cook it. So that's fun. But
awesome. Well, I'm glad the Dirty Lazy Keto Cookbook could help you and the fiance and give you some ideas to get you going.
In the group, they also post recipes in the DLK group. So I'll often save those to my favorites and give it a try, So I found a few from the members as well, and some good tips too, like the meal prep stuff. Stuff you don't think about. You're like, oh, I've seen it all, chicken breasts for miles, and they'll come up with something, and I'm like, wow, I never thought of doing that way.
One time I saw you post, you made homemade taco shells using cheese, and you had them draped across like paper towel holders, and I was like, okay, what's happening here? What are you doing?
Yeah. On top of the palmini noodle cans,
you got bonus points for that. That was gold star.
Yeah, everybody asked, and then it launched into a whole discussion about palmini noodles and how I like the noodles. And I said, well, they're good taco holders, but I'm not a big fan of the noodles themselves. I'll eat them eventually, but yeah, there's no real good noodle replacement yet. Although I'm hoping for the healthy noodle from Costco.
Oh.
In the States.
Okay.
Once we cross border shop, I'm definitely going to try it. But the borders aren't open yet. Yeah.
Well, I was curious how living in Canada affects how you practice DLK. Because I know a lot of people will say that, oh, I can't do DLK because, I'm in this place or I'm in this country, so I can't do it. And I'm always like, do you not have a grocery store? I mean, do you have to buy like these special products, or can you do with real food from the local grocery store? I mean, what's your opinion?
I went through a phase definitely closer to the beginning of keto where I bought a lot of packaged things that were available in Canada, and especially the sweet stuff. the desserty type, oh, the peanut butter cups from Russell Stover or blah, blah, blah. And I always was disappointed or stomach troubles.
Or
So
sick.
yeah, or sick. And my
Yeah.
fiance could handle that stuff better than me. So he would help me out and clear the pantry of those once I said, I don't like these. And, but eventually I got to the point where I'm like, I am not craving the sweets anymore. And if I am, I have like the cheesecake recipe. That's fine. That works. Stuff like that. The specialty products, I stopped buying them. I even stopped. I had a keto crate for a while that's Canadian, and there was some products that I discovered that were really good, but I couldn't find them in stores, so I'd have to order them online. But there were Canadian websites, so it worked out. But eventually I got to the point like now I'm more like, okay, if I can have ham, cheese, and pickles for lunch for the rest of my life, I am more than happy. It's simple, it's easy, my stomach loves it, and it's filling. I'm more inventive for supper time because we share, and Shane gets bored eventually of always having steak, chicken breasts. He'll want a recipe once in a while. It's like, oh, how about that Big Mac salad? Maybe we should have that tonight. And I'm like, sure, I'm down for that. So the packaged stuff, I've kind of strayed away from purchasing a lot of that stuff. But you know what? In the beginning, when you're a new to keto person, I think it's very valuable at that point because, well, aversion therapy works great on me. If I eat sweet stuff that makes my stomach upset, I'm not craving sweets for a while. So that helped a lot.
That's funny.
And it helped me get through the whole, oh my God, I'll never have bread again, blah, blah, blah. Well, chaffles. Love chaffles. I make them all the time. I've got 4 of those little dash minis. I make them and I put them in the fridge or I freeze them sometimes. So if I really want a sandwich, there is a non-packaged way to go. Shane really liked the 90-second bread in the microwave. He likes breakfast sandwiches, and I make those for him sometimes. Or he'll make one himself, and he loves mug cakes. So if he's craving sweets, he'll do a mug cake. So mug cake, I'm like, almond flour, nah, not interested. But we each have our preferences, right? So there's a time and a place, I think, for the packaged stuff. I wouldn't discount it for anybody. But there are some products when I see them posted online, I'm like, I wish we had that in Canada. I'd try that. Probably hate it, but I'd try that.
The aversion therapy angle. That's very clever. That I have not heard.
Yeah, it really works on me.
Well, I'm curious. I know a lot of our listeners and watchers, they're going to have questions for you and they'll type those in the comments. And I encourage them to do so because you've been so open. But what kind of closing advice would you give to some of these people out there who are watching and are struggling? Maybe they're new or maybe they're just struggling, but you're so successful. What would you say to them?
Well, don't beat yourself up ever. Like if you have a bad day, you have a bad week, turn it around, do the stuff that you love, that works. If boiled eggs works for you, make a batch of boiled eggs, start simple and easy, get back on the wagon. I mean, we've all been there. We've all had the diet weekend where everything gets blown to smithereens and you're like, I'll start again on Monday. Sure. If you need the mental break, I used to say to people in the comments, you know what? You ate pizza last night. There's such a thing as carb cycling. You're going to gain maybe a pound or 2 from that pizza. Don't beat yourself up. You needed it mentally. You had your pizza, you got rid of the craving. Now don't order pizza again today. Get back on the wagon. Don't beat yourself up. Enjoy what you had. If you want a glass of wine at a wedding, it's not the end of the world. You know what? I maintained my weight for a good year during COVID. I didn't gain, but I didn't lose. But I was like, you know what? It's COVID times. I'm lucky I'm not gaining. I am not going to look this gift horse in the mouth. I'm just going to keep going, do my best. We cheated more. but I would keep reining myself in. I would keep tracking. I weigh myself often, which is probably not recommended, morning and night, but I was keeping an eye on it. And I started losing again. Now that COVID is, the restrictions are reducing, there's a little bit more social activity. We get to see some friends. We're eating a little more, but I'm still tracking. So I think the bottom line is don't be so hard on yourself. Just don't go totally left field. Stay in the zone.
Stay in the zone.
Stay in the zone.
Wonderful advice. I love that. Well, Carol, you've been so helpful today. I have to ask, is there one question I didn't ask? Was there anything else you were wanting to share with everybody since you have the stage?
I didn't think of questions for myself, honestly. I know you mentioned, here, we'll come with this and it might help somebody. People have asked you about loose skin. Well, honey, I have loose skin. I have fairy wings.
Hey.
Yay. And you know what? I wear short sleeves all the time now. It used to bother me a lot. And I think it was one of your video and somebody else's video where you were talking about it. And I was like, you know what? This is a badge of honor. I had somebody ask me, how much weight have you lost, if you don't mind me asking? I noticed you look like you've lost weight. And I said, well, have a seat.
Well, mama, have a seat. Let's talk. That's awesome.
If I had the money, I would probably remove these, but more for being able to wear clothing, because they do, it's Canada. We have to wear winter jackets. And if my winter jacket is big enough to fit the fairy wings, it's sometimes too big here and I get cold. So I'm thinking more practical wise, I'd get them removed for that reason. But, it's a lot of money up here in Canada to get plastic surgery. So, we'll see what happens, but it's not necessary. People understand and they're quite proud when you talk to them about weight loss, and they're like, bravo,
People are very encouraging, I found, and like in awe. It's such, it's amazing. And I'm so proud of you. And I know everyone watching is just thrilled to death, so excited, so in awe, and they'll have tons of questions, which I urge everyone to write in the comments or even just praise and share with Carol what you took away from the conversation today. Because I think the more we talk and the more we communicate, the better we're all going to be. I don't think it has to be so secretive, and I think we all have to be open, like you did today, sharing about the keto diet with weight loss surgery and the keto diet with type 2 diabetes. We have to talk about these things, or else people are just going to be ashamed and hiding in the dark and afraid to try.
Yeah, and they should try it. They really should.
Well, you've certainly inspired me and shared some fun ideas with all of our watchers and listeners. And so with that, I want to say thank you again, Carol. Carol, for coming on today and for being our guest. And can I give you a big round of applause? Yay! Woo!